and this is going back just before the interview stage, obviously it's almost between the CV and interview when we're actually applying for the role. I think one benefit of using a recruiter is we go directly to the hiring managers. We're not going through a portal. We're not uploading a CV to LinkedIn or something like that. I think probably 90% of our clients that we deal with, we have direct line manager feedback. So your CV is already coming out of the pot of 40, 50, 60 applicants maybe for that role and going straight to the CTO, the software development manager, the head of IT, whoever that person is. Again, I think that's a huge benefit of using a recruiter and using someone like us. We can almost take you out of that sort of pond of candidates and put you straight in front of that hiring manager. Yeah,
definitely. I think it goes even more closely with our CV part.
Yeah, exactly.
That goes in there.
I think one thing that also, a final topic I want to just sort of discuss, especially around interviews, is the modern day interview. The, should we say, post-COVID interview. Obviously, a lot of it has now sort of gone virtual, and I think a lot of companies will probably actually start adopting a more virtual process and not having everyone come to the office all the time. What are our do's and don'ts and top tips about virtual interviews? Otherwise, we're talking about Teams, Google Hangouts, Zoom, Skype, something like that.
I love the virtual interview aspect that's going on. I think a lot more companies are having it early stages, which I think is really good because sometimes it can be a overstretched commitment sometimes when sometimes people just want more information. We can always be quite clear on that. You always introduce relevant people, but sometimes both parties want a bit more info, and if it doesn't quite marry up, sometimes it can be a bit much.
Can you imagine doing that and having to spend 30 minutes, 40 minutes going to an office for that initial 30-minute chat? Why can't we do that virtually on sort of Zoom, and you can get that initial information out of someone? How much better is that?
No, I agree. I couldn't agree more. And on the do's and don'ts, what I think was one of the, I'm going to reword that, but one of the things that actually come out of like that situation with being online and everyone having to do it on video is, I suppose, it kind of formed its own little etiquette that everyone's picked up on.
Zoom etiquette.
Yeah, but also it's become like, in the past, we've all done it, worked like a day from home before COVID, and the dog's in the background, the wife shouts at the door, and you're like, oh no, it's like the worst thing in the world. But I'm doing video calls now, and my little sausage dog's jumping up.
Little Frank.
It makes you more human. You're not in that corporate setting. You can kind of be yourself a bit more. You're in your own home. You're a bit more relaxed.
Spot on. I think it benefits like a certain area or sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, a certain type of person. Whereas previously, before pandemic times and before COVID took over in that sense. There was a certain type of person that maybe would really struggle with that first stage of introduction and that ice-breaking part of, like what you mentioned, going into office for a half hour with people you've never met. Whereas now it's a lot more, I guess, informal is a good word to use, but a lot more relaxed. And like you say, you're in a comfortable environment. So I think realistically, it's just benefiting more people across a broader scale with sort of talent pool to look within. Sort of thing.
I don't think we need to be embarrassed about the kids shouting in the background, the wife shouting, the dogs barking. I think again that's a good icebreaker and that's natural. The one thing I will say is make sure that your setup for what you're using is good. Make sure.
Cat filter on like
that. Or I mean, who remembers?
I can confirm I'm not a cat.
Who remembers the BBC interview of the kid running in and that? I think just embrace it now. Bring it, like, obviously don't bring the kids in, but if they're there, I think companies will now be like, it's a human, it's a human touch and the human element. No, try and make it as professional as possible, but if the kid runs in, don't like shoo it off or expect the nanny to run in. Just talk to it and I don't think we're gonna have that problem. But I think we definitely need definitely make sure you've got a professional setup. No filters. Some people like the blurred background. If that's what you want, that can work. But no filters. And I still think as well there needs to be an element of the correct attire. Maybe don't wear a baseball cap or a hat or something like that. You're still interviewing, still come across professional, but use it to your advantage and be more relaxed in your home setting.
Being yourself.
I actually think candidates are more receptive to it as well, because, like you say, they're not having to travel into an office. It's a quick half an hour that they can do in their home, and it's instantaneous. It can be done very quickly, and they can start a process very quickly off the back of doing that as well.
Yeah, I agree. It can be a lot more fast. I mean, like you said there, we can still be professional in it at the start. Like, I know you're saying it's not probably the kids walk in. Probably the best lot to start it when you got like some kids, one on each arm, family portrait. I'm just doing some finger painting. I'll move in a minute.
No, definitely.
But you don't have to be as like worried. Like, if there isn't a person that I've called CEOs and people who work at big companies and that, and it's the same old. My kids just sort of like in the background. You're like, kids or dogs. I've never heard so many kids and dogs in the background. I am a massive advocate for not finishing a process until you have face to face and like met the team and in the building. So
where possible.
Of course.
I know because of COVID, obviously those situations. If it can't be possible, obviously you need to grow something to hire.
But I think by the time hopefully. By the time these videos go out, COVID will be over. I think they're going to adopt the virtual process. But no, 100%. You still need to go to the office. You still need to meet face to face. You still need to meet as many. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to go to now.
Yeah, well, this is it. It's taking the good parts, isn't it? The work. So for the first stages, I can still get an understanding of them, what they're like. I can still get their personality. We can send a tech test over straight away, and they could do all that. And suddenly, now you've met the person. You kind of know a bit about them, and you like them. You know the kids. You know that they completed the tech test. What a perfect time then to come meet someone face to face and show the team. Because how many? I've certainly had to do it recently with our team and commit time to meeting people face to face. That chews up so much of your day. But like, if you're gonna do that and go through the extra effort that it takes,
and also from the candidate's point, as we said, that 30-minute interview, you've got to travel. You've got to do probably double that time travelling there, maybe even 3 times the time of that 30-minute interview to travel to the office. Okay, it's going to be a daily commute, so you've got to get used to it, but for that first call online would be perfect.